My best friend told me I was paranoid when I suspected my husband was cheating. Turns out she was the other woman, so I exposed them in the most humiliating way imaginable. The night I found out my husband was cheating, I wasn't even looking for proof. I was lying on the couch, half watching a rerun of Friends, lazily scrolling through my phone, when Dan's screen lit up beside me. I glanced at it, not thinking much, until I saw the message. "I miss you already. Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again." My stomach dropped. I sat up so fast my heart nearly burst out of my chest. My fingers tingled, my vision blurred at the edges. Dan was in the shower. His phone was right there. A million thoughts ran through my head at once. Do I check? Do I pretend I didn't see it? Is there some rational explanation? Then his phone buzzed again. Same time tomorrow, or should we be more careful this time? And just like that, the world I knew was gone. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. The signs weren't big, obvious things. No lipstick on his collar, no strange perfume on his shirts. Just little cracks that didn't seem important until now. Like how he suddenly started caring about his appearance. Dan had never been the type to fuss over clothes, but a few months ago, he started buying expensive cologne and wearing fitted shirts that weren't picked out by me. Like how he started staying late at work more often. Meetings, deadlines, work dinners, always something. Like how he had changed his phone passcode without telling me. And then there was the intimacy, or rather the lack of it. The way his kisses became routine, the way he'd pull away from hugs just a little too soon, the way we'd sit together on the couch, close but not really together anymore. And now the texts, the undeniable proof. I need to talk to someone. But who? My hands were shaking as I put his phone back exactly where it was. I had 3 choices. Confront him right now, demand an explanation, see if he'd lie to my face. Stay quiet and gather more proof. If he was lying to me, I wanted the full picture before I made my move. Call Lisa. Lisa was my best friend, the one person who had been with me through everything. If anyone would know what to do, it was her. I grabbed my phone and texted her, "Hey, I need to talk, urgent." Lisa called immediately. "What's wrong?" I swallowed hard. "I think Dan is cheating on me." Silence. Then a weird hesitation before she spoke. "Wait, where is this coming from?" I told her everything. The texts, the late nights, the gut feeling I couldn't shake. Lisa let out a long breath. "Okay, but are you sure? Maybe it's a misunderstanding, or maybe..." I cut her off. "Lisa, I read the messages with my own eyes." "Shit." She paused. "Okay, listen, maybe don't jump to conclusions yet. Just act normal for now. Figure out more before you do anything crazy." Something about the way she said it made my skin crawl. After I hung up, I sat there in silence, my mind replaying the conversation. Lisa wasn't acting the way I expected. She wasn't shocked, she wasn't outraged for me. She was calm. Too calm. And then, a horrible thought crept into my brain. What if she wasn't just trying to calm me down? What if she knew something? Or worse, what if she was part of it? My stomach twisted. I suddenly felt sick. I had no proof. It was probably just paranoia. But deep down, I knew. Something wasn't right, and I was going to find out exactly what it was. I couldn't sleep that night. Dan lay beside me, breathing evenly, completely unaware that my entire world had just cracked open. I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. I needed proof, solid, undeniable proof, because if I confronted him now, he'd just lie. I knew it, he'd call me paranoid, gaslight me into thinking I was imagining things. So I decided to play dumb, act normal, smile, pretend nothing was wrong, and in the meantime, I would find out the truth. The next morning I casually asked, "So, any big work meetings today?" Dan didn't even look up from his coffee. "Yeah, late one, might not be home until 9 or 10. Right?" I nodded, pretending to believe him. But as soon as he left for work, I grabbed my phone and did something I never thought I'd do. I checked his location history. Dan had shared his location with me months ago when he got a new phone and never turned it off. He probably forgot about it. I scrolled through the recent locations, and there it was. Last night when he was working late, he wasn't at the office, he was at a hotel across town. I felt like I was gonna throw up. He really was cheating. But with who? I needed more. I needed to see it with my own eyes. So that night, instead of staying home, I got in my car and drove to the hotel parking lot at 9 p.m. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. At 9:30, Dan walked out of the hotel. He wasn't alone. And when I saw who was with him, the world around me shattered. Lisa. My best friend. The person I trusted more than anyone. She was standing close to him, laughing at something he said, her hand casually touching his arm. It was an intimate laugh. The kind you only give someone when you feel completely comfortable with them. I felt like I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just some random girl. This was Lisa. And suddenly, every weird detail clicked into place. Her calm reaction when I told her my suspicions, the way she tried to convince me it was nothing. She wasn't just covering for him, she was the other woman. I didn't confront them, not yet. Instead, I watched as they got into separate cars and drove away, like nothing had happened. Lisa even had the nerve to text me an hour later. "Hey babe, you doing okay?" I stared at the message, my fingers trembling. She was checking in, seeing if I had figured it out yet, keeping tabs on me. I wanted to scream, break something, call her out right then and there, but I didn't. Because now, I had something even more powerful than anger. I had the upper hand. I knew their secret, and I was going to make them regret every second of it. I spent the next 48 hours in a haze of quiet, seething rage. Lisa still texted me like nothing had happened. Dan still kissed me goodbye every morning, completely unaware that I knew everything. I had proof. I had seen it with my own eyes, and yet, I didn't confront them. Not yet, because if they thought they could betray me this easily, they had another thing coming. I wasn't just going to expose them, I was going to ruin them. First, I needed more evidence. A single night at a hotel could be brushed off with a lie, but I wanted undeniable, humiliating proof. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. The guy was an old-school, no-nonsense type. I gave him the details, and within 2 days, he had photos. Dan and Lisa, meeting at the same hotel. Dan pulling her in for a kiss in the parking lot. Lisa wearing the necklace I gave her for her birthday. That one hurt the most. I wanted to scream at them both, but instead I smiled at Dan over dinner that night, pretending I wasn't picturing him with my best friend. I wasn't ready to explode yet. I was going to make this hurt. Lisa had just started dating someone new, Jake, a guy she had been raving about for weeks. And guess what? Jake really liked her. He had even asked me once if I thought she might be the one. Well, Jake deserved to know the truth. So I sent him the photos. No message, no explanation, just proof of what she was doing behind his back. His response? "Holy shit, thank you for telling me." An hour later, Lisa was blowing up my phone. "What the f***? Why would you do that?" "He broke up with me. You ruined everything." I just stared at the messages, letting her panic. Then I texted back. "Oh, I'm sorry. You must be so heartbroken. If you ever need to talk, I'm here for you." I knew she'd recognize those words. They were exactly what she had texted me when I told her I thought Dan was cheating. She didn't respond. Dan had an important business event coming up, a fancy corporate dinner where he was supposed to be up for a promotion. His boss would be there. His entire team. It was the perfect place to shatter his carefully built image. The night of the event, I walked in wearing the red dress he always said made me look stunning. I smiled, played the role of the adoring wife, and waited for the perfect moment. Then, right when he was mid-conversation with his boss, I leaned in and whispered, "By the way, honey, I know about Lisa." The color drained from his face. His boss glanced between us, confused. I pulled my phone out, opened the folder of photos of him and Lisa, and casually slid it across the table. Dan scrambled to grab it, but his boss picked it up first. His expression shifted immediately. A beat of silence. Then his boss cleared his throat. "Dan, why don't we step outside for a moment?" Dan shot me a look of pure panic before following his boss away. I just sat back, sipped my wine, and enjoyed the beautiful, delicious chaos unfolding around me. By the next morning, the fallout had begun. Jake had cut Lisa off completely. She tried calling, apologizing, begging, but he wasn't interested. Dan got demoted instead of promoted. Turns out his boss wasn't too impressed by an employee who used company trips to cheat on his wife. And me? I handed him divorce papers that same day. He didn't even try to fight it. Lisa and Dan tried to stay together after everything. I saw them out once, a few weeks later, sitting at a coffee shop, looking miserable. Lisa's eyes were red, like she had been crying. Dan looked tired, like the weight of the world had crashed down on him. They had gotten exactly what they wanted, each other. And yet somehow neither of them looked happy. I just walked past smiling. Because unlike them, I was free. For weeks after everything went down, I felt like I was living in a dream. Not because I missed Dan, not because I regretted exposing him and Lisa, but because, after spending so much time focused on them, I suddenly had to figure out who I was without them. I had spent years building my life with Dan, being his wife, supporting his career, planning a future that no longer existed. And Lisa, she had been my best friend since college, my go-to person for everything, and now, just like Dan, she was gone too. I had burned my bridges and walked away. But what now? Dan tried to reach out. Of course he did. At first it was the predictable apologies. I messed up. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I don't even know why I did it. I was an idiot. You didn't deserve this. Then came the nostalgia, the reminders of our past. Remember that trip to the cabin? The way you laughed when we got caught in the rain? I miss you. I never answered. And then, just when I thought he had finally given up, Lisa texted, I lost him too, you know. Was it worth it? I laughed when I saw that one. As if she wanted me to feel bad for her. As if she wasn't the one who did this to herself. I blocked both of them. One evening about a month later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went out alone. Not to drown my sorrows or distract myself, but because I genuinely wanted to. I found this little rooftop bar in the city, a place I had always wanted to try, but never got around to. I ordered a drink, let the music settle over me, and for the first time in a long time, I felt light. Nobody to impress. Nobody to answer to. Just me. I looked around at the city skyline, at the way the lights stretched into forever, and I smiled. I wasn't Dan's wife anymore. I wasn't Lisa's best friend. I was just me. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. A few months later, I ran into someone unexpected. Jake. Lisa's ex, the guy I'd sent the photos to. I was at a bookstore flipping through a novel when I heard someone say my name. I turned around, and there he was, looking just as surprised as I felt. Wow, he said, laughing a little. I owe you a drink for saving me from that disaster. We ended up grabbing coffee, then dinner. And as we talked, I realized something. We had both been burned. We had both learned the hard way not to settle for people who didn't deserve us. And maybe, just maybe, we were both finally ready for something real. The real ending? Well, that's still being written.